Imagine discovering that one of the most common routines in your kitchen could be putting silent pressure on an organ you probably never think about. Every week, millions of people open the refrigerator, grab last night's dinner, warm it up, and eat it without a second thought. It feels harmless. After all, reheating leftovers saves money, reduces food waste, and makes life easier. But what if the way you reheat certain foods changes them in ways your body doesn't appreciate? The surprising truth is that some everyday leftovers can undergo chemical changes when heated again. These changes don't happen overnight, and they won't make you sick immediately. Instead, they may gradually increase stress on one of the hardest working organs in your body, the pancreas. Most people know very little about the pancreas, yet it performs two critical jobs every single day. First, it produces powerful digestive enzymes that help break down everything you eat. Second, it releases insulin, the hormone responsible for keeping your blood sugar balanced. Without a healthy pancreas, both digestion and blood sugar regulation become much more difficult. What makes this organ especially concerning is how quietly it operates. Unlike many parts of the body, the pancreas rarely sends early warning signals when something begins to go wrong. It can continue working under constant stress for years without causing obvious pain or noticeable symptoms. That silent nature is exactly why protecting it matters. Medical experts have long recognized that diseases affecting the pancreas are often discovered late because the organ doesn't easily announce that it's struggling. Instead of waiting for problems to appear, making smarter daily choices may help reduce unnecessary strain before it builds over time. Fortunately, this doesn't require expensive diets or complicated health plans. In many cases, a few simple adjustments to how leftovers are prepared can make a meaningful difference. Let's begin with one of the biggest surprises: reheated fried foods. Picture a typical evening meal. Maybe it's crispy chicken, fried fish, French fries, onion rings, or another favorite comfort food. There are leftovers, and naturally, you don't want them to go to waste. The next day, instead of throwing them away, you place them back into a frying pan with fresh oil or heat them again in the same cooking oil to restore that crispy texture. It seems like the perfect solution. However, many cooking oils commonly found in kitchens, including sunflower, corn, soybean, and similar vegetable oils, become increasingly unstable each time they're exposed to high temperatures. During the first round of frying, heat already begins changing the structure of the oil. When that same food is heated again, especially in additional oil, the breakdown becomes much greater. As the oil deteriorates, it produces unstable compounds and free radicals. These highly reactive molecules can place extra stress on cells throughout the body by increasing oxidative damage, a process associated with inflammation and long-term wear on healthy tissues. Think of free radicals as tiny sparks flying around inside a machine. One spark may not cause visible damage, but thousands of them striking the same system day after day slowly begin to affect how efficiently everything operates. Your pancreas is particularly sensitive because every meal already requires it to produce digestive enzymes and regulate blood sugar. Adding repeated exposure to oxidized cooking oils means the organ has even more work to do while dealing with increased inflammatory stress. Most people won't notice dramatic symptoms right away. Instead, they may occasionally experience feelings like unusual heaviness after eating, mild discomfort in the upper abdomen, sluggishness following meals, or digestive changes they assume are simply part of getting older. These symptoms can have many different causes, but they're also reminders that the body often whispers long before it shouts. The encouraging news is that avoiding this extra chemical stress is surprisingly simple. Instead of reheating fried foods in more oil, use dry heat whenever possible. An oven or an air fryer can restore crispness without exposing the food to another round of overheated oil. One small kitchen habit may not seem important today, but repeated choices shape long-term health far more than occasional ones. If you're enjoying this series and want practical, easy-to-understand health insights, be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and stay with us because the next food on the list may completely change the way you prepare your healthy meals. Most people would never suspect the next food on this list. In fact, it's probably recommended by doctors, nutritionists, and fitness experts more than almost any other vegetable. It's packed with vitamins, minerals, fiber, and antioxidants. So naturally, people cook a large batch, store the leftovers, and enjoy them again the next day. Unfortunately, that's where an important detail often gets overlooked. Imagine preparing a generous serving of spinach for dinner. You saute it with garlic and a little olive oil, enjoy half, then refrigerate the rest for tomorrow's lunch. The following day, you microwave it for a minute or two, and everything appears perfectly normal. It smells fresh, tastes familiar, and looks exactly the same. Yet beneath the surface, the chemistry may have changed. Leafy vegetables such as spinach, kale, Swiss chard, and similar greens naturally contain substances called nitrates. In fresh vegetables, these compounds are completely normal and are part of the plant's natural makeup. By themselves, they are not considered harmful. The story changes after cooking. As cooked greens sit in the refrigerator, naturally occurring bacteria begin transforming some of those nitrates into nitrites. This process happens quietly while the food is being stored. When the vegetables are heated again, another chemical reaction can occur. Under the right conditions, nitrites may combine with certain naturally occurring compounds in food to form substances known as nitrosamines. Scientists have studied nitrosamines for decades because several members of this chemical family have been linked to increased cancer risk in laboratory and population research. While occasional exposure is very different from frequent exposure, many health experts recommend minimizing unnecessary formation whenever possible. Think of your body's DNA as the instruction manual that tells every cell how to grow, repair itself, and eventually retire when its job is finished. Every day, your body repairs countless tiny mistakes before they become larger problems. Most of the time, this repair system works remarkably well. However, when harmful compounds repeatedly challenge those repair mechanisms over many years, some damage can occasionally escape correction. That's why reducing repeated exposure to unnecessary chemical stressors is considered a sensible long-term strategy. Your pancreas plays a role here because after digestion, these compounds travel through the bloodstream and are processed by multiple organs. Like a hardworking employee who never gets a vacation, the pancreas continues carrying out its normal responsibilities while also adapting to whatever arrives from your diet. One unusual meal won't overwhelm it. But repeating the same habits week after week may slowly increase the workload placed on this already busy organ. The encouraging part is that you don't need to stop eating leafy greens. Quite the opposite. They remain among the healthiest foods you can include in your meals. The difference lies in how you enjoy them. Many people simply prepare the amount they plan to eat at one meal. This avoids unnecessary reheating altogether. Another option is surprisingly easy. Instead of warming leftover cooked spinach, add it cold to salads, grain bowls, wraps, or sandwiches. It still provides valuable nutrients without another round of heat that may encourage additional chemical changes. If reheating is necessary, it's generally better to do it only once. Repeated heating and cooling cycles increase opportunities for unwanted reactions, regardless of the specific food involved. It's a small adjustment that takes almost no extra effort, but may reduce avoidable stress on your body over time. Now let's move to another kitchen staple that seems even more harmless. Almost every household cooks it in large batches because it's affordable, convenient, and perfect for meal prep. Families across the world store containers of it in the refrigerator every single week. At first glance, there's absolutely nothing unusual about it. No strange smell, no unusual color, no visible warning signs. Yet from the moment this food begins cooling after cooking, something microscopic starts happening that very few people are ever taught about. Invisible organisms can begin waking up, multiplying, and producing substances that reheating may not completely eliminate. Understanding this hidden process could completely change the way you store one of the world's most popular side dishes. We'll uncover exactly what happens, and the simple habit that dramatically reduces the risk, in the next part. If you're finding these practical health tips valuable, take a moment to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications. Small, everyday decisions often have the biggest impact over time, and the next food on our list is one almost everyone has sitting in their kitchen right now. One of the biggest myths about leftovers is that if food looks fine, smells normal, and tastes the same after reheating, it's automatically safe. Unfortunately, food safety doesn't always work that way. Some of the biggest risks are completely invisible. The next food on our list is found in millions of kitchens around the world because it's inexpensive, filling, and incredibly convenient for meal prep. We're talking about cooked rice. Think about a typical Sunday afternoon. You prepare a large pot of rice to save time during the week. After dinner, the leftovers stay on the counter while everyone finishes eating, watches television, or cleans the kitchen. A little later, the rice goes into containers and into the refrigerator. It seems like a perfectly normal routine, but during that cooling period, something microscopic may already be taking place. Raw rice naturally contains bacterial spores from a microorganism known as Bacillus cereus. These spores are surprisingly tough. Unlike ordinary bacteria, they can survive the cooking process because they're designed to withstand harsh conditions. Boiling temperatures destroy the active bacteria, but the spores often remain alive. While the rice is hot, those spores stay inactive. The real problem begins as the rice slowly cools. As the temperature drops into what's known as the danger zone, the surviving spores can wake up, multiply rapidly, and begin producing toxins. These toxins, not necessarily the bacteria themselves, are what make food safety experts pay close attention to leftover rice. Here's the part many people never hear. Some of these toxins are remarkably resistant to heat. That means reheating the rice the next day may destroy many living bacteria, but it cannot always remove toxins that were already produced while the rice sat cooling. Imagine discovering a leak in your house after water has already soaked the floor. Turning off the water stops the leak, but it doesn't instantly remove the damage that's already been done. The same principle applies here. Once certain toxins have formed, simply reheating the food may not completely solve the problem. This doesn't mean every bowl of leftover rice is dangerous. It means that how the rice is cooled and stored matters just as much as how it's reheated. Repeated exposure to foodborne toxins can irritate the digestive system. Even when symptoms aren't severe enough to cause obvious food poisoning, ongoing irritation may contribute to inflammation within the gut. Why does that matter? Because your digestive system and your pancreas work together every single day. Whenever food enters your digestive tract, the pancreas releases enzymes to help break it down. If the digestive system is repeatedly challenged by inflammation or irritation, nearby organs, including the pancreas, may also experience increased stress over time. Researchers continue studying the close relationship between gut health and pancreatic function because the two systems constantly communicate through immune signals, hormones, and shared blood circulation. Protecting one often helps protect the other. Fortunately, preventing this problem is much easier than many people realize. The first step is cooling cooked rice quickly. Instead of leaving a large pot sitting on the counter for hours, divide it into shallow containers. Smaller portions release heat much faster, reducing the amount of time the rice spends at temperatures where bacteria multiply most rapidly. Once cooled, refrigerate it promptly. Many food safety specialists also recommend eating refrigerated rice within about 24 hours for the best quality and safety. When it's time to reheat, make sure the rice becomes steaming hot all the way through, not just warm around the edges. Stirring during reheating helps distribute heat more evenly. And perhaps the simplest rule of all, reheat only the portion you plan to eat. Avoid repeatedly warming the same container over several days. Every cycle of warming, cooling, and storing creates additional opportunities for bacteria to grow if conditions are favorable. These habits don't require expensive equipment or complicated techniques. They're simply smarter ways to handle one of the world's most common foods. But the next item on our list introduces a completely different problem. This time, the concern isn't a chemical reaction or bacterial spores. Instead, the hidden danger comes from one appliance found in almost every modern kitchen, an appliance many people trust every single day without realizing that it sometimes heats food unevenly, leaving invisible pockets where harmful bacteria can survive. And when that food happens to be leftover chicken, those hidden cold spots can become much more important than most people ever imagine. If these practical health tips are helping you make smarter choices in the kitchen, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who meal preps regularly. The next section may completely change the way you reheat chicken forever. By now, you've probably noticed a pattern. The biggest health risks in your kitchen aren't always the foods themselves. They're often the small habits surrounding how those foods are stored and reheated. And the next example may be one of the most common mistakes people make without ever realizing it. Picture a busy weekday afternoon. You're short on time, so you open the refrigerator, grab last night's roasted or grilled chicken, place it on a plate, and heat it in the microwave for a couple of minutes. The outside feels hot, steam rises from the surface, and it seems ready to eat. Most people stop there. But here's what many don't realize. A microwave doesn't always heat food evenly. Unlike a conventional oven that surrounds food with consistent heat, a microwave works by causing water molecules inside the food to vibrate rapidly. That vibration creates heat from within. The problem is that different parts of a piece of chicken contain different amounts of water, fat, and muscle. Because of this, some areas heat much faster than others. The result can be hot spots and cold spots existing in the very same piece of chicken. From the outside, everything appears perfectly cooked. Inside, however, certain areas may never reach a temperature high enough to destroy harmful bacteria if contamination has occurred after the original cooking. these cooler pockets are impossible to identify just by looking at the food. Chicken deserves extra attention because it's one of the foods most commonly associated with bacteria, such as Salmonella and Campylobacter. Proper cooking destroys these bacteria, but cooked chicken can become contaminated again if it comes into contact with unwashed hands, cutting boards, knives, or serving utensils. If contaminated chicken is then reheated unevenly, surviving bacteria may remain in those cooler sections. Foodborne illness is far more than a simple stomach upset. Many bacterial infections trigger a powerful immune response throughout the body. Fever, vomiting, diarrhea, dehydration, and severe abdominal cramps are signs that the immune system is working overtime to eliminate the invading microorganisms. While your digestive tract is fighting the infection, other organs are also affected by the body's inflammatory response, including the pancreas. Inflammation is one of the body's most important defense mechanisms. It helps eliminate harmful invaders and begin the healing process. But repeated episodes of inflammation, even when relatively mild, can gradually place extra demands on organs that already work continuously behind the scenes. Think of your immune system like a fire department. When there's a genuine emergency, firefighters respond quickly and effectively. But if small fires keep breaking out every few days, the constant workload eventually becomes exhausting. The same principle applies to your body's defense systems. Fortunately, reducing this risk doesn't require giving up leftover chicken altogether. The safest option is using an oven whenever possible. Heating chicken at a moderate temperature allows warmth to spread evenly through every piece instead of concentrating in only a few areas. Covering the chicken while it reheats also helps prevent it from drying out while allowing the heat to penetrate more consistently. If the microwave is your only option, a few simple adjustments can make a big difference. Slice larger pieces into smaller portions before reheating. Arrange them in a single layer instead of stacking them together. Pause halfway through to stir or flip the pieces, allowing cooler areas to move toward the outside where they'll receive more heat. After reheating, let the chicken rest for a minute or two. During this short resting period, the heat continues spreading throughout the food, helping eliminate remaining cool spots. There's another option many people overlook completely. Cold chicken can be an excellent ingredient for salads, wraps, sandwiches, or grain bowls. If the chicken has been stored properly in the refrigerator, eating it cold eliminates the need for reheating altogether while preserving both flavor and texture. Simple choices like these reduce unnecessary risks without adding extra work to your routine. But our final food may surprise you more than any of the others. At first glance, it looks completely harmless. It's comforting, affordable, and served with countless family meals every week. Yet when reheated the wrong way, it can create two completely different challenges at the same time. One involving heat-related chemical changes, and another affecting the way your body handles blood sugar. Together, these two effects may place more stress on the pancreas than most people ever imagine. We'll uncover exactly why in the final part of this series. If you're learning something new from these practical kitchen tips, take a moment to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications. In the next and final part, we'll reveal the last leftover food, and finish with the simple habits that can help protect your health for years to come. What if one of the most popular side dishes in the world could change completely after being reheated? Not in the way it tastes or looks, but in the way your body responds to it. This final food catches many people by surprise because it's served in millions of homes every single week. Whether it's roasted, baked, or pan-fried, potatoes have become a comfort food that families return to again and again. They're affordable, filling, and incredibly versatile. But when yesterday's potatoes are heated a second time, two separate changes can take place, both of which deserve attention. Let's start with the first one. Whenever starchy foods like potatoes are cooked at very high temperatures, especially until they're deeply browned and crispy, a chemical compound called acrylamide can form naturally. Scientists have been studying acrylamide for years because research suggests that limiting unnecessary exposure is a sensible long-term health choice. Freshly cooked potatoes already contain some acrylamide if they're cooked until very brown. However, reheating those same potatoes over high heat, especially in a frying pan or air fryer until they're crispy again, can encourage even more of this compound to develop. Why? After potatoes cool in the refrigerator, their outer surface becomes drier. Moisture evaporates while natural sugars become more concentrated near the surface. When that dried surface is exposed to intense heat again, conditions become even more favorable for additional browning reactions, which can increase acrylamide formation. In simple terms, the crispier and darker the potato becomes during repeated heating, the more likely it is that unnecessary chemical changes are taking place. But that's only half the story. The second change is actually one of the most fascinating examples of how food chemistry works. When freshly cooked potatoes cool completely, part of their ordinary starch transforms into something called resistant starch. Unlike regular starch, resistant starch isn't digested quickly in the